Hi everyone, welcome to Wolves Fancast. We're recording this so you don't have to talk about it. It is Wolves versus Liverpool this evening. I am joined by Stu Hall.
This really is going to be a labour of love, this episode. Hello.
I am joined by Jordan Russell.
Evening, folks.
And a very, very special guest, former Wolves keeper and now Shrewsbury goalkeeper, Harry Burgoyne.
Evening, thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much for coming on. I wish we could have had a bit of a happier subject to talk about, but it's a really real pleasure to have you on. It's nice to have somebody who can dissect these goals with the fury that we need. No, I'm not going to ask you to dig anybody out. But yeah, 4-0 defeat to a Liverpool side ravaged with injuries, and I think. Well, you tell me, guys, before the game, what was your expectations? Do you think this Liverpool side could have been got at? And when you saw our lineup, did you think, actually, we can do something here? We can go on the attack?
Yeah, for me, I think before the game, all day when I've been talking to my mates about it, I've said I think the best way to beat this Liverpool team is to try and probably the only way to beat them is swing punches with them. Go punch for punch, blow for blow with them, and see if you come off best. Really, you know they're arguably the best team in Europe. Them and Bayern. The thing for me was obviously, like you mentioned there, the injuries they've got. They've got a few injuries throughout that team. I thought they were gettable, or at least you could have a go at them tonight. We've well and truly got beat, haven't we? You know, even Keller making his debut, I'm sure Harry can touch on it as well. I thought he was exceptional for a Premier League debut. He didn't put a foot wrong for them either. So, ultimately, before the game, I think we've got it tactically how I think most Wolves fans would have gone for it, really. I think probably go blow for blow with them, especially how well we played at Arsenal last week. And unfortunately, tonight we've come off second best.
Absolutely. Stu, what were your initial thoughts on the lineup when you saw it? I mean, Klopp before the game, he mentioned that, you know, he didn't know how Wolves were going to put themselves out today. And I think you could argue that neither did Wolves for a vast majority of it. But what did you think of the lineup when you saw it?
No, I think what Jordan said pretty much, that it was overly positive, especially after last week. And everyone, if we'd have gone back to a 5 at the back, everyone would have been moaning about it and thinking, well, we've kind of bottled it before we kick off. And with their defence looking a bit different to what it normally would do, it was, in theory, the right thing to do. I mean, I was pretty excited beforehand, especially with Jimenez not being available and thinking, can Silva start the game would have been a bit of an ask. So I think playing with a false 9 was, as we all expected. I had no real problem with it, and I thought it probably was the best way to go. But that was before the game.
Absolutely. Harry, what was your thoughts going into it? Did you look at the lineup and think, fair enough, it's a team that we can counter as we normally do? What were your initial thoughts when you saw it and how we shaped for the game?
Yeah, that's what I felt, as if, like, obviously being both teams being counter teams, I felt as if it was going to be a lot like the Leeds game that Liverpool had at the start of their season, like 4-3, loads of goals. But it didn't really develop into that, really. Like, it kind of broke down when we got into the final third. And then the only other thing I'd say is, like, obviously being a young goalkeeper myself, like, on your debut, the last thing you want is sort of a lot of pressure on yourself. And I just felt like we took short corners when I felt as if, like, you go and lump everyone on the keeper and just swing it in and just see how his nerves are early on. And I felt as if short corners and stuff, like, weren't really testing him. So obviously being on the receiving end of it myself, like, the last thing you want is kind of corners being swung in with the quality that they have in the Premier League as well. I mean, it's not what you want, really, is it? So yeah, that's what I felt.
Yeah, Keller, he wasn't really tested in massively at the start of the game, and actually well throughout it. But what he did with relative ease and comfort. I mean, you'll have been there yourself, of your debuts for different clubs. Has there been a time that you can think of when you started and you've been peppered straight off the bat is it, should Nuno have looked at that and thought maybe we play more attacking in that sense to test the keeper?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember one game for Wolves where obviously I've made my debut against Fulham, and then in the week we had Cardiff City, and I just got absolutely battered with crosses and long throw-ins and stuff, and it isn't what you want because obviously I didn't have a lot of experience in that sort of sense, so you aren't going to get everything correct, so it is tough. So I just think, obviously it's my opinion, it's obviously not Nuno's style to go and lump it on goalkeepers and stuff like that, but that's kind of, I felt as if what we could have done early on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I felt like, very much the start of the game, it didn't have that balls to the wall, if you will, back and forth. I really thought it would be end-to-end, and it did start off very much with a battle of attrition. Stu, in the early openings and how the game was unfolding, you could see very early on that we were going to struggle without a central target man to play with. How did you think if we were going to score a goal, we were going to score a goal? And was there any promising signs at first?
It looked like we were playing with 10 men straight away. Like when you take your striker off and just try and win free kicks and get a set piece or something like that, because we just looked, even from the very start, it looked just bereft of anything through the middle whatsoever. And it was all right getting down the wing and crossing it in, but he crossing it in too. And like Harry was saying then about the short corners, I mean, why he carried on with that through the entire game when you were sending everyone up and it still carried on, it was just weird. But yeah, I thought up until they scored, which was, again, we'll get on to Cody in a minute, I thought we did okay. I thought we kind of, like they said it in commentary, which I presume everyone's legally watched it on Amazon Prime. Well done, people. That they, it was very much a chess match. It was trying to sort each other's out, trying to pick your passes at the right time, and it was a purist game, I suppose you could say. One of them games where something's going to happen, but how is it going to happen? And then, unfortunately for us, what Cody did was kind of ruin the game for us in the end.
Yeah, George, you have not been a shrinking violet when it comes to some of the mistakes that have been made by our captain in the past. Though I can't think of a time this season really so far where he's made an absolutely glaring error. And we usually discuss this on the back of trying to mark a player like Giroud or like a bigger, stronger, big man. Cody, in this game, what do you think it is? Nerves? He doesn't seem the type to have them. Do you think it's just concentration? Talk me through the first goal that we conceded, and is it just one of those things that the law of averages means a mistake's going to happen every so often?
I just think it's a mistake. We're all we're human, and we all make them. I think, like I said, sort of at times last season, I've singled, say pick out Conor Cody. I've always said he's a fantastic captain and footballer, but I always felt like he can struggle when he gets pinned against a big man. But this season, I think he's grown from strength to strength. For me, that's the first mistake he's made all this season for me. And I just think you make a mistake 18 yards out against Liverpool. It's just unfortunate, isn't it? I think in hindsight, he should have put his head through it. But you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to chest it down for, chest past the volley just to clear the lines and get up the pitch, and just got it slightly wrong. And you don't need to give Salah an opportunity like that 15 yards out unmarked. It's just unfortunate, really unfortunate. And I don't really want to single him out for that at all. I thought the first 20, 25 minutes, it was very even. I thought we got Brew into the game quite well. Although we weren't on top or anything, I didn't think there was much in it. We kept them relatively quiet, and that goal sort of pinned us back a little bit. And there's no, for me, I think if you're nitpicking, if you're going to say, or even get on Connor's back for that, I just think it's it's an error, and we've been punished for it, and unfortunately, it happens in football.
Also, I think if you've got to appreciate that Liverpool's front three, the pressure is relentless. So for me, if Connor would have done that last week against Aubameyang, I think for me Aubameyang kind of gives up on it, thinks, "Oh, I haven't got the ball," but with Salah, it's like, bosh, he's straight on it, isn't he? And
he's relentless. He's completely. That's why he's That's why he gets 30 goals a season. He has about 9 shots a season, but he's just so relentless. And he's a pest, isn't he? And he's never going to miss them there. And it's just, it's just unfortunate. It's just unlucky. It's just a mistake, and unfortunately, you're going to get punished. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, as part of the goalkeeper union, Harry, I'm sure. I don't think Rui could have done a lot with any of the goals tonight this evening. To be honest, I feel really sorry for him in that case. I mean, to have 4 goals against your name in any game must be pretty heartbreaking. But when you can't really do anything about them, it must be that little bit more gutting for you.
Yeah, it's tough because you kind of look back and you think, well, you kind of try and pick out all the goals, and you'll be on the bus on the way home or train or whatever, and you'd be trying to think, well, what if I'd have stood there instead, or what if I'd have sort of made that decision. But look, the quality of the finishes is top draw, isn't it? So I don't think you can have too many sort of complaints about Rui or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's one of them where you just got to move on to the next one, really. And like the old saying in football, never get too low, never get too high, and you just got to go and put it right now against Villa. Is it next game?
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, massive game. So yeah.
Well, I mean, the rest of the half after the goal, I didn't think that we went into our shells or anything. I thought that we actually carried on. We got into the same positions we would normally get in. And so I don't think there was an issue there creatively. I just think that because there's no Raul in the box for it, Traore's on autopilot. He's doing the same thing he does every game, but just without the man in the box to cross to. And the same, when it got out to Neto as well, he looked sharp and he looked like he was getting in there, but you can only do so much. This isn't, unfortunately, FIFA. You can't cut back in, do a finesse shot, bang it in from 18 yards out. Do you know what I mean? As much as we'd like to. Do you think that because, we've got somebody on the wrong side of 5 foot as our false 9 or whatever you want to call it, really, we should have just been attacking centrally through the whole game and not trying this wide wing play? But what do you think? Should we shaped any different?
I mean, ideally, yeah, but we've never ever played like that, have we? That's the problem. That our system's designed around a focal point beat Bonatini in the past, and then Jimenez, and that's what it's been. That's what it's been, and it's okay changing to a back 4 out of the blue, but then you're changing exactly how you play. The entire plan of the game changes just because Jimenez is not there, and I think going forward they're going to have to, because it just didn't work. But today I thought, fair play, they tried it. I mean, you could try it with Neto in the middle. How well that would work, I don't know, but that's the only other real option other than giving Silva a decent run. Which, is he ready? Because he don't look ready. However good his touch is and however promising he is he up to playing in another 6-7 Premier League games for 90 minutes? I don't think he is yet, personally. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for not changing the system, but I think it's something that we need to look at now, really.
Yeah, George, I mean, from your point of view, in the attacking sense, we got into the same positions that we normally would, and fair play, but because we didn't have that bite in the middle of the box, would you have changed things up? The top teams can adapt, and that's what we want to be. I don't want this. We were playing Gillingham 5 years ago mentality that comes around. Top teams adapt. So should we have been more adventurous?
I think in hindsight you can always look to be a bit more adventurous, but I think against most teams we'd probably get away with playing that sort of system and formation. We'd probably have more of the ball and be able to work our way up the pitch. Liverpool are a top team. They're probably going to win the league again, or at least they're going to be in the top 2. And they're going to go deep in Europe as well. And that's where we obviously would love to be in 5-10 years' time. But like I said, there's no disgrace losing to them. I just think that, for me, sort of, I know we spoke about it in the WhatsApp group, playing that false 9, it's the formation I would have played pre-game, but actually watching it in reality now it played out. Successful teams doing that, which was, again, touched on in the group, was, the Barcelona team under Pep and the Spanish World Cup and European teams, but they had 70-75% of the possession, and they were world-class teams. Barcelona scored 120 goals in that season with not a recognised number 9. But it's all right when you got Messi and Neymar and Ronaldinho and all these other players, and we're unfortunately not there. So, yeah, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. I just think that without Jimenez, it proves that we're toothless. But he's a world class striker, and same thing. If you take Harry Kane out of Tottenham, they all of a sudden become a much much lesser attacking threat of a team, and you take all these players out. Jimenez is a massive loss, and we're probably going to end up labouring or scratching around till January the 1st to try and just make the best of the situation we're in now. And I think that Fabio Silva, for me, has got to play purely for the fact of price tag being one, and also we probably haven't got much of a choice. I think it's proved today that we probably do need to revert back to that 4-2-3-1. I think just to give us a bit more control in the middle and also give us some sort of outlet up front, because Podence is a magical player. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's far better when he's facing goal rather than he's back to goal, and that's where we need him to be more of a threat. Harry,
from your point of view, from the attacking, sense of the game, is it just the case that we are playing a fantastic team, and on another day against a lesser team, actually continuing in the way that we were playing today, the same way that we always play in getting it on the wing using our fast wingers? Do you think that's something we should be pushing on with in the absence of Raul Jimenez going forward, or should we be mixing it up?
It's a tricky one for any manager, isn't it? Because obviously Nuno would have thought that way that he's gone out to try and play tonight would have been the way to hurt Liverpool the most and get the result. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if the four at the back gets scrapped now, in my opinion, just because they've been so good at something for so long and it's got so much success. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've gone and conceded 4 tonight. I know it's a top team that Liverpool are, but I just feel like maybe he'll kind of go back to the drawing board and think, look, we just need to go back to basics in the absence of Jimenez, and just think, shut the back door, because they've kept so many clean sheets over the last few seasons. That's what they've been great at. Sort of shut the door for the first half like he likes to do, and just go and try and nick a goal. And I just think that's the way that they've got to do it, especially over this next busy Christmas period, because obviously legs are going to be tired and the personnel is going to be the same more or less every game. So for me, he'll just want to shut the door and go and nick a goal on the counter, and I think that's what they're the best at.
Yeah, I'd agree. One thing I want to ask you specifically, Harry, as a pro and someone, the only person on the call to have played more than 50 in front of more than 50 people, I imagine. The rest of it, 5 people maybe, I don't know.
I got to 250 once, Matt. All right.
Sorry.
Nice.
Sorry.
There you go.
Not thinking about that.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
The addition of the fans in the stands, and listening to the Amazon Prime commentary, you'd think you'd think this was the mecca of all football, and why should anybody else ever bother going to a game, because it's never going to be any better than Anfield. And to be fair, considering I've been there as part of a 7,000 away following. I was there for the Dortmund game when they won in the Europa League. Obviously, this was like a church compared to that from a noise point of view. But will that still have had an effect on the players in terms of having rival fans in there, or is that something that you tune out of as a pro, and not something that you really feed off unless you're 3-0 up or they're booing you off the pitch?
That's a good question, to be fair. I first of all, I'm not too sure, because I've not been in that situation yet. We've only played at home, being at Shrewsbury so far. So I think it is going to be a big advantage for the home team moving forward, with not being able to have any travelling fans. But I don't think it would have made a massive difference. I mean, like, these boys at the top of their game, as soon as they cross that white line, I just feel like you shut your mind off, and I don't think it would have bothered them at all, because they've all played in front of thousands and thousands of people and millions of people on the TV and whatever. So yeah, I don't think it would have been a problem for them. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have the fans back, isn't it? I bet you lot are sort of on the same page with that.
Well, we will be when we're allowed to go, but not until then, we're horrendously jealous of anybody that gets to go to a game. To be fair, so we get into half time, 1-0 down. What were your initial thoughts? Did you think actually we can get into this? We're 1-0 down. We've been in this position plenty of times before. Cliche bingo. We're a second half team. We've scored so many goals after half time. Blah 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 blah. Shu, did you think, we're still in the game here, we can still do it? Or were there enough warning signs in the game that actually you thought, we're looking a bit, we're not making any clear-cut chances here, we're not testing the keeper enough, actually this is going to be a long evening?
Well, we were still, for as much as there was no end product, we were still getting in areas where we were posing problems, and we were still winning corners, and we were still getting free kicks. So until that started to dry up, I thought, well, yeah, we've still got a chance of getting something here. But it just, I don't know what it was in that set, because normally, as you just said, we come out second half and barnstorm everything and win. And I just never had that feeling. After the first 5 minutes of the second half, it just seemed a bit flat. I don't know what it was. It was weird. I mean, I'd only had four cans of John Smiths today, and even I was feeling it. And it was just, it was just weird. There was no. I don't know if the goal, because Cody was at fault for the goal, if it affected him and then there's no one to lift him up because he's always the one doing it. I don't know if that played a part. I'm not sure, but it just seemed a bit flat. That's the best way I can describe it. And then it just kind of, when the second one went in, it was game over. And I would have put my PS5 on if we were doing this tonight, more than likely, because there was no way back after that.
Yeah, agreed. George, your thoughts?
For me, I felt we were very much in the game, still even at 1-0, because they never carved us open at any point in that first half. And I felt like we just needed to create just a moment, anything. And we still got quality players on that pitch to create a moment for us. I had no doubt about that. At half time, I felt like I messaged one of my friends on WhatsApp, and I said, for me, I'd swap Neto and Traore over, give them all Traore and run at Nico Williams, because he was on a yellow card. Granted, he's still playing for Liverpool, but he's definitely the weak link in that team. Anyway, still. And I felt that was the way to go. Just keep giving Traore the ball 5 minutes and just make him commit. Put him under pressure. Because he wouldn't either have to bring him down and get sent off, or you just burn him. But we never even done. We never did that. I think the second half, watching it, on reflection, I don't really know what the plan was. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Wijnaldum goal, he took it. It's just a tremendous finish. And then, like Stu said, it's game over. Once you 2-0 down to the champions elect, they're just going to bat it. They're just going to punish you. And you could tell after that second goal, they were just in the mood. They literally went up another gear. And let's say there's no complaints to that Liverpool team at all. I just feel like we've gone out with a bit of a whimper, unfortunately. And maybe that was down to how good they were, but I've got a feeling, if you're looking at individual performances, I think there's a few people who were off it tonight. And we saw it with Man City last year when we beat them twice last year. All 11 players and the people that come on the pitch were at it. And that's what you need against these big teams. If you're slightly off it, it doesn't matter who you are, they can stick 3, 4, 5 past you. And unfortunately, we were on the wrong end of it tonight.
Yeah, I think it shows as well the fine margins in football where, like, obviously everyone's disappointed tonight if you're a Wolves fan. However, at 1-0 down, like, we get a chance. I don't know if it was a wide free kick or whatever. Codes at the back stick. Like, if that ball just bounces a little bit differently or hits the end of his toe, it's 1-1. And then all of a sudden, like, we probably go and sort of smother them, and maybe, like, it's a different game. And, like, that's just football, isn't it? Like, it's just a crazy game. So, like, I wouldn't get too down about, like, a bad result or whatever, because it's just, like, literally a little thing like that changes the game. So on another night, you just don't know what could have happened.
Well, we don't do that on this podcast, Harry, so we want you to dig your friends out. No. To be fair, there were a few abject performances on the pitch, but on the whole, I thought there was a level of deflatedness maybe after the first goal. One question I did want to ask, Harry, what you'd have played under different managers. What does a manager do at half time, or what kind of conversations does he have when a player that's so pivotal to our success in terms of keeping clean sheets, etc., like Cody, makes a mistake, like does he put an arm around a player? Does he call him out in front of the dressing room? In your experience, what can you do to like keep people motivated like that, or as professionals, are they actually like dust themselves down? We move, so to speak.
So from sort of past experience, Nuno wouldn't have said anything to Codes at half time. I wouldn't have thought. But then you get the odd manager like for. I'm trying to think of an example now. For example, I'd say he might have dug him out a little bit there. Yeah, like you get the sort of opposite where you go in and you just get absolutely dug out, and sort of sometimes that would work with a personality and sometimes it wouldn't. So I think it's just a case of sort of a manager knowing the personality of the player, and Codes would have known that like he's got to do better, and no one would have needed to tell him that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
But however, if you've got another personality that kind of doesn't take responsibility for it, then they might need a sort of a rocket at half time. But yeah, I'm sure Nuno wouldn't have done that because he knows that Codes like sort of knows that he's got to do better, and he'd have sort of, because as soon as it happened, like he obviously has his little 10 seconds where he's disappointed, but then you can hear him on the TV still like shouting and demanding. So that's what you've got to do after a mistake, really react like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, in this voyeuristic world that we have now with all the Amazon documentaries and everything else. It's just fascinating to see kind of how man management plays such an important and pivotal role in not just tactically, but for the whole game. Man management between a manager and player is just so important. So moving on, like kind of whizzing through the rest of the game, as depressing as it was. Wijnaldum's, has a fantastic finish, like nothing that. What's the old adage? 2 keepers wouldn't have saved it. And again, not a lot Rui can do with that. Really, he's not helped. And Cody's got to do it. Cody's got to mark 2 men, and he's neither here nor there with it. Because who are you gonna? When you've got an attacking threat as potent as Liverpool, it must be an absolute nightmare. It must keep you up at night just to think about who you're going to mark, let alone actually succeeding and doing it. I mean, going forward for the rest of the game. Once it gets to 2-0, there's no way back, is there, Stu, after that?
No, it was just. I mean, you could just see because they just took their foot off the gas there, and they just started passing it around between themselves. There was nothing on them to go and chase the game. They don't have to do a single thing, and they just played us like fools. They just controlled the game and just. I mean, it felt like the last. As soon as it went 2-0, it felt like it was 2 hours long. The rest of that match, it was just. It's hard to describe it because I mean, you try and compare. Yeah, we got spanked by West Ham 4-0, and that was completely different. We were all raging, and rightly so. But it's kind of like humbling because we were just outclassed, well and truly outclassed from the 2-0 onwards. And there was, I mean, when I said at the time, I said this could get embarrassing, and it never really did because they were just a class above us. I mean, Semedo didn't seem to want to defend at all for the whole second half. Which God knows where he was for half of the time. Neves had a stinker, and Dendoncker still can't head a ball properly when he's heading down on goal, which is weird. But yeah, apart from that, we're just outclassed, and there's no shame in losing 4-0 to Liverpool, especially this Liverpool side. However many injured defenders have got out.
Yeah, I mean, it was summed up for me by the fact that the wife's asleep on the settee. When the 4th one goes in, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Get up, she goes, "Oh, what's happened here? It was only 1-0 at half time." And I'm like, and I just looked at her and I was a bit saying, you better pack those bags and get out.
Do you have butlers who are you speaking like this now?
What do you mean, mate?
I don't think
she's ever spoken so posh.
Yeah,
it's my work voice, isn't it?
It sounds like you're in Downton Abbey or something. And you live on Ashmore Park. You don't live on Downton Abbey.
Ashmore Park via Lower Pen. I'll have you know. But yeah, I mean, the Semedo own goal pretty much kind of summed up the night, didn't it? Really, in terms of like just a bit of a downer, and not fantastic, really. One thing that we haven't mentioned, obviously, is the Cody pen that wasn't. As far as you guys are concerned, was it the right call?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a pen. It's not a pen, but it's one of those where 9 times out of 10 you're getting contact. I don't think he's dived. He's beat Mane to the ball, and even if Mane clips his heel with the VAR world, it's given, isn't it? So he beat him to the ball, and yeah, it looks worse because you slow it down. So it now looks like Cody's dived. I mean, we all know Cody's. Well, I don't know personally. I'm sure Harry can back us up. A cheat. I just think he was expecting contact. He beat him to the ball, and yeah, like I say, it's just not a penalty. Unfortunately, any bit of contact in this world, it's a penalty. But it's just not a penalty, not a dive. Move on, in my opinion.
Any advance on that, Harry? In terms of
no, I agree. It's not a pen, and like as soon as sort of that situation happens with the VAR now, and the sort of ref goes over, it has to be like really clear for him to overturn his decision. So like the fact that he's overturned his decision tells you that it ain't a pen. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's bang on. But let's not go into VAR too deep because you know we could be here for hours and hours, days even.
Love to be like that.
I've said this is the exact. Like I said on commentary as well. This is the exact reason why I'm not in the VAR hatred camp at all, because things like this. I mean, I watched the EFL highlights this morning, and there was some shit going on in them games where you think it's just blatantly unfair because the decisions are wrong, and yet you kind of in 16 months I'm so used to VAR fixing these things. When there was penalties galore, I can't remember, there was one of the games where it was outrageous. I think the Norwich game, and there was 2 blatant penalties in that game. You've just waved off. You think, well, okay. There's the good points about VAR. There's a lot of bad points and a lot of bad points about people who operate it, but today it was correct for a change.
Let's have it out, Stu. If VAR was a physical entity, you'd be cheating on your wife with it, wouldn't you?
He would be my wife by now.
You'd be shagging VAR if you could. We all know that. So on that, I think we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll discuss the Villa game coming up, and we will do the quiz.
Hi, Richard here. Before you go back to hearing us dissect the latest Wolves news, some really shoehorned Simpsons references, a bit of 90s film action, of course, a bit of wrestling, I just want to do a quick shout out for our sponsors, Pixel Yeti Media. Now, they've done a fantastic job on the Wolves Fancast website, wolvesfancast.com. Please go check it out. But they're not just web designers, they're a creative agency that cover all your design needs, from websites, brochures and signage to marketing, logo design and branding. There's basically nothing they can't do marketing wise, so make sure you check them out at pixelyetimedia.com, and I'll let you get back to enjoying the show.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Wolves Fancast. We're going to look forward now to the Villa game. Bubble well and truly burst, would you say, for the Villa at the minute, in terms of actually had a really promising start to the season, but they seem to have tailed off quite a bit recently. Lost again this weekend. On the back of obviously this 4-0, Harry, you mentioned that you think that Nuno might go back to a 3/5 at the back, whichever way you want to call it. Do you think that's probably going to be fruitful enough, knowing that actually Villa have shipped quite a lot of goals recently? Do you think, some might argue you could go all out attack and actually have a bit more joy by being a bit more of an attacking presence? What do you think?
Yeah,
Nuno should be doing?
I mean, you could say that, but again, like if you are attacking, you sort of get at the full backs. Like you say, would it be similar tonight where you're crossing the ball into nobody? Do you know what I mean? For me, the way to go about it is going back to basics and just sort of, because obviously it's such a massive game. Obviously it's a derby, and it's a massive game. You've got to go and get a result there. Sort of both teams have had a bad result and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, for me, I obviously I'm not the manager of Wolves, But I'd go back to basics and just sort of shut the door, make sure they don't score, and then go and nick a goal on the counter. Because, I mean, for me, like when what comes to mind is Man City away last season, when maybe 2 seasons ago, where Traore scores the 2 late goals on the counter. I think why not play Traore down the middle?
Mm-hmm.
It must be a nightmare for a centre half, like when you've got him sort of spinning and rolling you in behind and getting at you. So yeah, why not try him down the middle?
I mean, when he has played down the middle before, he's played down the middle with Jimenez, so it has been a completely different situation to if you went with 5 at the back and played 2 up front. You could have Jimenez and Neto up front as a 2. That would be infinitely better than what we had tonight. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think there's a lot of merit in that. I mean, you could still have Podence behind and something like that. But you have got a good point. In the situation that we are in now, I mean, I did say that I thought he'd go back to basics as well, just because after West Ham, he did thought, well, let's shut up shop and let's calm down a bit after that debacle. But I think Traore and Neto up front is the only option that we really have, unless you want to play Silva, which I don't think you will, especially against Villa. And I mean, fingers crossed, someone at their little special party that they had COVID, so our little friend and his maestro in chief get home visits for 2 weeks, hopefully. They don't get COVID themselves, so they can't come and shake me down. But they've been in contact with someone who got COVID, so Barkley and Grealish to be homeward bound for 2 weeks over Christmas would be ideal.
I can't see Wolves not winning next week, to be honest.
That's a bold claim.
I put the mortgage on it next week, Wolves winning.
George, do you share
I've said it here first.
There's going to be a soundbite.
There's a clip.
Yeah, we're going to clip it. I'll be honest with you, Grealish gives me nightmares. Grealish versus Semedo, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I'd think that I've said it. I've been quite vocal about it. Villa are a much improved team than they were last season. What do you think of Grealish as a player? He's an unbelievable footballer. Whatever the antics are, he's a fantastic footballer. Barkley improves him. Watkins improves them. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, we've got beaten twice last year and at home really comfortably. I just think that I'd still make us favourites, and I'd be disappointed if we didn't come away with the 3 points. But it's all about nullifying Grealish. If we can stop that source, the balls to Grealish, whether that is you sit on Barkley or whatever you've got to do, you just got to cut that supply. And I don't fear them, but it's like I say, going forward the other way, what are we going to do? After watching tonight, and again, Liverpool's a different beast to Villa, I don't see where we're getting a goal. I don't see scoring at the minute. So I am a bit apprehensive about it, to be honest with you. I'm not as confident as Harry, anyway.
Well, you say that, but let's look at the facts. Since the 23rd of October, they've conceded 3 to Leeds. They've conceded 4 to Southampton. They've conceded 2 to Brighton. They conceded 2 to West Ham. And they beat Arsenal 3-0. I dare say the 4 of us would have a decent shout the way that Arsenal are going at the moment. So they're not in sparkling form, Villa, and they are conceding goals as well. And so I think with our attacking prowess, I think there's every chance we can get some goals against them, even with the glaringly obvious lack of target man. I think, and Harry, you're exactly right in what you said, is that going back to basics, I think that's one thing that Nuno is good at is, when we have had a drumming in the past, so Chelsea springs to mind for me, and West Ham, of course, that we can kind of calm down, reevaluate, reassess, and then have a game plan going forward. And I'm feeling not as apprehensive about this Villa game that I would as if we were playing the Albion, for obvious reasons, just because it's going to be the most horrible week of my life building up to that, and I'm sure everybody else is going to, as much as confident as we want to be about it, will still be a horrible, anxious build up.
I'm terrified after what I saw of them this afternoon. It was shocking. They've got threats all over the pitch.
No, I think when it comes to Villa, they do have definite goal scoring ambitions, but I think that we'll have enough. We'll be able to calm down and relax and iron out some of the things that had gone wrong for us. Harry, you made a bold statement. You said we're 100% going to win. I think you used the term 100%. If I'm
Well,
not mistaken.
I personally feel like obviously being able to play under Nuno for the first season in the Championship, his way and his idea is that if you can sort of keep possession and shut the door early on, then you kind of run a team into the ground. So if you can keep the ball well, you move a team around and they're knackered, and then all of a sudden they've got to make changes, and they're bringing on their like number 2 striker and number two midfielder or whatever. So then you've made their team weaker straight away, and that's why they get so much joy late on with goals and stuff, because they've just ran the opposition into the ground because they've been shuffling over with the switcher play. And I just think that's what we've got to go and do against Villa. You've got to go and shut the door, keep the ball, and hopefully get a goal somewhere. I know Jimenez isn't there, but there's more than enough sort of creativity and Podence, Neto and Traoré to go and get a goal. So that's why I sort of feel so confident about them. Yeah.
Well, I want everybody to put their necks on the line and give me a prediction for a score, please. Harry, I'll start with you if that's all right.
1-0.
1-0. Interesting. Stu?
Yeah, and Nuno special, 1-0. 78 minutes.
78 minutes, okay, golden goal. George?
1-0 as well. I'm going to go Maximilian Kilman. Banging header. Bullet.
Are we talking like...
Back in the team, like I'm talking about hole in the net. That's how...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
the way you guys are describing it, it's definitely going to be a last game on Match of the Day kind of game.
Oh, yeah, I think Neves free kick, I think.
He's due one. He's
due one.
States his stage one. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to be slightly more adventurous than that and go for a 2-1. But I do think that we win, which is odd that all four of us have. I don't think that ever happens. That all four of us or all the participants of a podcast after a drumming have been like, "Yeah, we're fucking going to smash these. No problem at all."
The problem is the Villa. You can't say we're going to lose, can you?
Well, no, we'd be absolutely hung out to dry. So we need to end this on a lighter note. So we're going to go ahead and do the quiz. So Dan, as always, has put together a fantastic quiz for us. So Harry, I apologise ahead of time because he's not done you any favours here with the question.
What's the subject? Is it football?
It's hell. That's what it is.
So there's two rounds, and I'll explain it as we go on. So it's just 2 questions for each of you. So it's nothing. Right. It's nothing. Nothing too taxing. Though again, as I say, he's not done you any favours with your question here. So Harry, this is question 1 for you.
It's a stitch
up,
you ready? Isn't it?
It's a massive stitch up. This is. 4 years ago this week, we drew 4-4 at home to Fulham. For 1 point, name our scorers in order.
Courtney Hawes.
Correct.
Cavallero.
I'm giving you the point if you can get what. I'm giving you the point.
Cavallero got the third.
Yep.
Doherty got the 4th. Dave Edwards got the 4th.
Mm-hmm. So who got the second?
Danny Bath.
You'd already said the person.
Doherty got the second, did he? Right.
Doherty got the second. That's correct. So I'm giving you the point for that because of how hard it is, and you're an esteemed guest. So I'm giving you the point for that. Correct. So 1 point. 1 point. See, this is what I mean. This is
next question. Who's the Fulham 4 scorers?
No. So the next question for Stu. So we couldn't ask you this one, Harry, to be fair, because Stu, what shirt number did Harry wear in that game?
See, I've got shirt numbers on my mind now because that silly number 76 today. I was getting irrationally angry that someone wearing 76 in the Premier League. He needs to grow up.
It's not that high anyway.
No. I'll say 31, maybe.
I've got a guess.
Are you locking in on 31, Stu?
Yeah, I'll just say yeah because of how they've done it since.
It's a good answer, that.
It's good because it's right. Absolutely, well done, very well done. So Jordan, just to stay in the game.
No pressure already. Dance quick.
This has never happened.
So you've got a 0-0 tie break.
So, and consciously didn't mention him during the Liverpool section of the pod. But who did Diogo Jota score his first league goal for Wolves against?
The only one that comes to mind. Was that his first?
Doesn't make fantastic podcasting.
No, sorry. I'm going to go for Millwall at home.
Unfortunately, that's incorrect. So I can offer it out. Fastest finger first. Anybody want to jump in and have a guess?
All I can think of is Bonatini against Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I'm trying to think early on. Barnsley for some reason. I'm sort of got in my head.
Okay, so unfortunately, no, you're both wrong. It was Hull City.
Oh, the Neves game.
Sorry, Stu. Tough luck.
Neves banger.
Yeah, I fell over my chair in that. Bruised on my knee. True fact.
Okay, we go. So we're looking at 1-1-0 in favour of Harry and Stu. So the next round and final round is the answer smash. So Harry, for your purposes only, this is going to be two answers smashed into one to create one answer. So if we was to say Wolves record top goal scorer and a piece of destructive equipment, say it would be Steve Bulldozer.
Right, okay.
So it's going to be two things merged into one to create an answer.
Okay. Well, I'll go last. Shall I go last?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's a shout out. It's a shout out. So,
right, okay. All right, no problem.
So we'll do the easiest one first. In my opinion, the easiest one first. So, Wolves midfielder whose life is a roller coaster.
Connor Ronan Keating.
Oh.
Correct. Connor Ronan Keating. You see.
Yeah,
well
that's. I would never have got that. That's different gravy from you, Jordan.
Well, that is stuff. So that's one apiece for everybody. American drag queen personality and former Wolves manager.
Paul Ince.
RuPaul Lambert.
RuPaul Lambert, yeah.
Stu gets the point.
You get me on my drag queens.
Aye.
Stu, you were in like a bat out of hell then with that. Yeah. RuPaul Lambert is the drag queen personality and former Wolves manager. So Stu takes the lead into the last question. So Harry, you need this to tie the game. And actually, to be fair, so do you, George. Former Wolves striker and future Hall of Fame boxer. This is so hard.
What's that? Former Wolves striker? Is that so?
Former Wolves striker and future Hall of Fame boxer.
And this is Dan and boxing, so this could be literally anyone.
No, you'd have heard of him. You'd have heard of him for sure.
Wolves striker.
Will it give me? Shall I find out what weight he is?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, please.
Let me talk amongst yourselves for the purposes of
the audio listeners.
For the audio,
exactly. The problem is, I think he's done it at multiple levels. He famously fought Mayweather far too late. Yeah, he's like, I think he's most commonly known as a lightweight potentially. Well, okay, he's a senator of a country presently.
This is not helped at all.
I know who the boxer is. I'm trying to think of the Wolves striker then. The boxer's Manny Pacquiao. That helps anyone else try and get the Wolves striker. So it's Manny Pacquiao.
Okay, I'm going to give you a clue to help with this. Scored in the FA Cup victory over Liverpool.
Andy Wyman,
I think. So you've got the two pieces.
And Andy Vyman Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah, tenuous at best. That. So we've got a tie. We've got
Tough that.
It is difficult. That, to be fair. So we've got a tiebreaker. So this is related to our very special guest here. I want to know from Stu and from Jordan, if you were to use Scrabble points multiplied, total Scrabble points score of Harry Burgoyne multiplied by the amount of league appearances he made for Wolves, that is.
You are fucking kidding me. I don't think I've played Scrabble in about 15 years.
No, neither have I.
I need an answer from you quick fire. I don't want you reaching out to any games covered or...
I'm guessing Y is worth a few points.
I literally thought that Jordan was reaching out to a box of Scrabble.
I've got a calculator here. I was just going to do some quick maths, as the kids would say.
650.
650 for Stu, George.
I'll go for 649. Seriously,
I don't think it's that many, is it?
Harry, do you want to have a guess?
I have no idea.
I just don't. I can't really. I don't really know how many points the Scrabble would be.
Welcome to Dan's world.
Would it be like about 40, something like that? 40, 50, around that sort of number? I'd say 450.
You're all way off. So Harry Burgoyne only gets you 25 points in Scrabble.
Right.
Because I think an A is 1, I think an R is 1, a Y might only be about 3. There's not much there that's giving you that top point. You know, we're not triple pointing Z here and having quiz. Do you know what I mean? So so it's the answer is 175. So who had the lowest number there?
Me.
Jordan.
Unfortunately, Harry, you were out the running at this point.
I wasn't involved.
I just went for the tactical block, which is it's really dirty. I do apologise. It's not very. But I fancied the win. It's been a bad night, and I just wanted to win something. So,
George, you certainly did. So you win this week's quiz. So thank you very much. Well done.
Cheers.
Done. Nicely played.
Pleasure.
So we're going to wrap that up then for this evening. I hope the game wasn't too painful for everybody, and actually we'll bounce back with and absolutely smash the Villa. To be fair, and we're all pretty confident, oddly, on the podcast that we're gonna do them over. So as always, check us out on our social channels at Wolves Fancast. A few interesting things in the pipeline, including a potential FIFA tournament that's going to be put together, which look out on the Twitter for that. Loads of different podcasts that are out there, apart from the match podcast, Stories from the Pack. We've got the film cast. On our YouTube channel, we've got Gully's Tactical Analysis, which is really, really excellent. Very recently, I released the mental health podcast, It's Time to Talk, as well, which especially around Christmas is very topical, I guess, in making sure that you're looking after your mental health as well. So check out that. And as always, get in touch with us if there's anything that you want us to look at or interact with us. So for now, Stu, if you want to say goodbye.
Yeah, Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Happy Christmas. Welcome all.
Jordan, if you want to say bye.
Yeah, night everyone.
And Harry, thank you very much for having us on. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And don't get yourself too down, Wolves fans. It'll all be fine.
It's all going to be all right in the end. Absolutely. Well, cheers.